Today we're at the law firm of Eglet Adams, and we're going to be talking to Robert Eglet, who is the attorney extraordinaire as far as I'm concerned. He's a top trial attorney in Nevada, one of the top attorneys in the whole United States, the only one ever to get top trial attorney of the year twice. And today we're going to be talking about the e-cigarettes, the vaping, and that whole scenario, which is basically killing people. So let's go talk to Robert Eglet. Talk a little bit about your background in the intro. Can you tell us more about you, Robert Eglet, the attorney?
Well, I mean, it's not a real difficult story. It's just, I'm a local kid, grew up here in Las Vegas area, went to school here, went off to college after high school, graduated from Western High School here in Las Vegas, went off to college for a couple years on a sports scholarship, got hurt, came back, finished my degree at the University of Nevada here in Las Vegas. Then was fortunate enough to get an academic scholarship to law school. Went to law school and had every intention, knew from the get-go that I wanted to practice here in my hometown and represent the people of Nevada. So I moved back here and have been practicing here now for 32 years. Raised 3 wonderful children, grown children now. My youngest daughter is actually in her last year of law school at University of Nevada, Boyd School of Law. And my wife is one of my partners. We practice here together. We have a firm that, ranges from 12 to 15 lawyers, fluctuates back and forth. And we do catastrophic injuries, mass torts, class action lawsuits, and represent people who have been suffered significant, most of the time life-altering injuries. And it's a privilege for me to be able to do that, and I love what I do.
You just talked about your background. You were born and raised here, correct?
I wasn't born here, but I've lived here nearly my whole life.
Okay. Now, your success is incredible, not just here in Nevada, but throughout the United States. What do you think really attributed to your success? Let's start here in Nevada first.
Well, there's a lot of things. First of all, I've been very, very fortunate that I have been able to surround myself with the very best of the best and lawyers that I'm able to work with here. My wife, who is the managing partner here, is one of the smartest human beings on earth. And she's a brilliant lawyer and a brilliant strategist, a brilliant legal strategist. Quite frankly, I think she's the best negotiator in the country. I don't think there's anybody who can negotiate a case better than she does. And she handles all the negotiations settlement negotiations for all of our cases here. We have a philosophy here that we want the right people in the right seat on the bus. And that's really her kind of philosophy of how she organized and managed the firm. And so she has me focusing on literally one thing, that's trying cases. So I spend my time in the courtroom, spend my time arguing motions and trying cases in the courtroom, and so that's how we've been able to focus. We have lawyers and staff who just focus in various areas, and we have a very much a team effort. We work on all the cases as a team. It's no one case is assigned to any one lawyer. The cases are assigned to teams of lawyers, and so we've got a lot of people working on everybody's case. We take a limited amount of cases because we only take these kind of complex, large cases that we're able to work with. Example one is the 1 October MGM shooting cases that we were able to get resolved with the MGM, and we made that announcement I guess last week or 2 weeks ago, I think, almost 2 weeks ago, that we were able to get that done for for our clients and for the community and for the MGM. It was good. It was good resolution for everybody. So we've been very fortunate to be able to do those type of things. You know, in 2008 here in Las Vegas, we had the largest medically caused hepatitis C outbreak in U.S. history. You know, we had over 100 people who got infected with hepatitis C, and I was fortunate enough to be lead counsel in those cases, and we tried a number of them, got some very significant verdicts. Two of them were two of the verdicts we got in those cases were the largest verdicts in the country that year. The third one we tried, it was the fourth largest verdict in the country that year. We tried that, and so you know, we've just we put together just an exceptional group of people in this firm, and we've been very fortunate. And it certainly hasn't been all me. It's always been a team effort. I always tell everybody that I don't do anything I've never accomplished anything by myself ever. I've always had a great deal of help. And a great team of my partner, Robert Adams, is my right-hand man. He is with me in trial in every single case I tried. I think over the last 20 years, he has been in trial with me virtually on every case together. And so we do everything as a team. You know, we have our successes as a team, and when we have a failure, which, knock on wood, is very, very rare, but when we do it together, and we recover together, and we come back fighting. And so it's just been, I've been very, very lucky. That's what I can say.
Tell us about the e-cigarette products. What are they, and why are they suddenly in the news?
Well, e-cigarettes are electronic nicotine delivery systems, which are handheld products often shaped like cigarettes. And these products consist of a battery-powered heating system and replaceable pods that contain liquid nicotine that is derived from tobacco. It's a derivative of the tobacco product. And when this pod is heated by an atomizer, I think I'm saying that right, an atomizer, it results in vapor. The user then inhales the vapor, and this process is called vaping. Because the vapor is generated by a tobacco product, what the user is actually inhaling is nicotine and other dangerous chemicals, many of them carcinogens, cancer-causing chemicals.
So that's why we're experiencing so many deaths now.
Yeah, and rapidly, and at very young ages. But this product was invented in China in 2003, and the product was exported to the United States, I think, beginning in 2007. However, the use of e-cigarettes has become most prominent in the past few years. It's growing exponentially, particularly among our young kids. And when I mean young people, I mean high school and middle school kids, and they're even starting to market, we believe, to elementary school kids who they are getting addicted to these nicotine products. Each one of these pods that goes in one of these vaping devices has as much or more nicotine in them as an entire pack of cigarettes. And these kids are vaping one or more of these pods a day, which means that it's equivalent of at least a pack of cigarettes a day. These kids are smoking, essentially inhaling into their body, along with other carcinogens that can cause cancer.
Wow. Now, why do you think these e-cigarettes have become more prevalent in the United States?
Well, big tobacco companies, including a company called JUUL Labs, Inc., started marketing and selling their products to minors. They targeted minors. They also tried to claim this was a smoking cessation device for people who were smoking cigarettes. And while that it may get them off cigarettes, it's not getting them off the nicotine and the carcinogens. They're just delivering it in a different format. And they have not done an adequate job of informing people that these are carcinogens, there are nicotine. And in my opinion, it's in violation of federal law and it's in violation of the tobacco settlement because they're marketing these products directly to children. And if you recall, part of the tobacco settlement, the mass tobacco litigation settlement was the whole idea. Remember the tobacco companies had the Joe Camel advertising, which targeted kids. Well, this is just a repackaged version of that. They're targeting these kids. So JUUL Labs started marketing and selling their products to minors, and they also gave free samples of e-cigarettes which contain, as I said, nicotine, which is a drug. It's considered a drug to minors, and they were giving them away to minors at concerts. They also used third-party social media marketeers to influence minors who influence minors into buying and using these products by making these products seem like it's cool. The whole, just like the Joe Camel thing, like it's cool to vape. This is the cool thing to do. You look cool with your friends, and so then it becomes everybody's doing it. And the overwhelming majority of these children who are doing this don't realize that they're inhaling massive amounts of nicotine. They're inhaling poison into their body. And so by making these products seem cool, and then they were able to capture this large market of kids. And then before we realized what was going on, by the end of 2018, the CDC reported that e-cigarette usage among high schools had increased 80% and over 50% among middle schoolers. So in the span of only 1 year, this happened. So significantly, the CDC reported that 1 in 5 high schoolers have vaped during the past month. And as a result, they concluded that over 4 million kids under the age of 18 are now regular users of e-cigarettes, regular users of inhaling these nicotine products. And then part of the problem too, and while it's clear they're marketing to kids, they made them in sugary flavors like bubblegum and pop and cotton candy and mango and these flavors. So they're getting these flavors that taste sweet to the kids. They like the flavors, but they're inhaling nicotine and other carcinogens.
Now, how do the big tobacco companies sell these to minors? How do they get around the law on that?
Well, they're not allowed to, in my opinion, under federal law and under the tobacco settlement, because these products contain nicotine, which is an addictive drug derived from tobacco, and selling these products to anyone under the age of 18 is prohibited, and in violation of federal law and state laws. But big tobacco put profits over the health of these kids, and as a result, they've selling these products to minors, and big tobacco's put a large percentage of nicotine into the products, and as a result, people using e-cigarettes received a higher level nicotine buzz within 10 seconds of them using the products, which is one of the reasons they're so highly addictive, and they become so addictive so quickly. And also, big tobacco sold e-cigarettes with different flavors, as I said, such as strawberry, bubblegum, mango, chocolate, cherry, mint, you name it. You know, they've got all these flavors that are attractive to kids in order to hook these kids into using these products. Now, JUUL was a startup company originally, but Altria, which is a spin-off company from Philip Morris, one of the biggest tobacco companies in the world, they bought a third of JUUL and have pumped a ton of money into the company, into the marketing, and that's why you're seeing this vaping, particularly among our young people, just growing. And I say an exponential rate, but it is a frightening exponential rate how many kids are doing this and how it is just growing. And the problem in the schools now is because they're odorless and they don't emanate any smoke. So it's not like the old days. You could catch the kids smoking in the bathroom or smoking here or smoking there. These kids sometimes are doing it in class without many times with their teachers not even realizing it because they can't detect it.
Oh, wow. Besides the nicotine that's in the e-cigarettes, what other chemicals are inside of it?
Well, the chemicals in the e-cigarette products include formaldehyde, propylene glycol, and I'm probably not pronouncing this right, but glycerol, all of which are carcinogens. In other words, they can cause cancer. And as a result, big tobacco companies were illegally selling, or are illegally selling and marketing these products that contain nicotine and cancer-causing agents to minors in our country.
So they have formaldehyde that embalmers use on dead bodies to keep them.
Yeah, that's
why?
What I understand they do. Yeah.
Why do you want to put that in your body is beyond me. Now, we talked about JUUL. Is that the biggest manufacturer and seller of these products?
Yeah, JUUL, they're a company out of San Francisco, California, and they currently control about 75% of the U.S. market for vaping. But as I told you, Philip Morris through Altria owns a third of JUUL now. And it was this company that really started intentionally selling the product to minors. They started it.
What do you think the U.S. government is and the FDA are doing about these dangerous products?
Well, of course, that's another problem, and it's always a problem with, what happens in D.C. when you get big money lobbyists involved. Big tobacco used its political and lobbying clout to convince the FDA that their products, these e-cigarette products, were safe and should not be regulated until the year 2022. So under the current law, the FDA can't even start regulating them for another 2 years. So as a result, the FDA has done nothing to regulate these products. Meanwhile, while the FDA has been doing nothing because of them being convinced by big tobacco lobbyists that nothing should be done, we have 4 million kids and another 10 million adults hooked to these very dangerous products. That's where we are now.
Do you think it's something that the Congress, the United States Congress, can step in on and do something about it?
Well, if you can get Congress to agree to do anything on a bipartisan basis in today's political climate, I suppose you could. I don't have a lot of faith in it. I will tell you that in July 2019, so earlier this year, the U.S. Congressional Subcommittee on Economic and Consumer Policy held hearings, and at the conclusion of those hearings, it concluded that big tobacco and JUUL deployed sophisticated marketing schemes which illegally targeted children, some as young as 8 years old, 8-year-olds, to induce and to convince these kids into getting hooked into using these very, very dangerous products.
Now, we know that the situation is bad in the United States. How bad is it?
We currently have over 1,200 documented serious illnesses already, which include lung infections, seizures, and behavioral disorders. We also have over 27 reported deaths directly linked to e-cigarette usage. Now think about that, how new that is on the market. It's not like cigarettes who been around for hundreds of years, people smoking tobacco. So you have that time, most time when you think of people getting lung cancer and things like that, dying from tobacco, that's not something that takes place in just a few years. That's usually almost a lifetime of smoking in some cases. It's happening in very short periods of time right now. We've had this is the first time these products were introduced into the US market was in 2007. That's only 12 years ago. And it really hasn't gained its big traction and the explosion of usage until the last few years. And we've already had 27 reported deaths directly linked to e-cigarette usage. So that makes you rather frightened about what is it going to be 20 years from now. How many thousands of people, tens of thousands of people are going to die from this?
What do you think the current situation is with the e-cigarettes here in Nevada?
Well, according to Nevada's state's health officials, we now have 6% of all Nevada adults using e-cigarettes. We also have almost 7% of all Nevada middle school kids regularly using e-cigarettes, and we have over 15% of Nevada high school students who are regularly using e-cigarettes.
Wow.
And those percentages are going up daily.
Oh, I can see why. Are there any reported illnesses here in the state of Nevada as a result of e-cigarettes?
Yeah, that's correct. The health officials in our state have reported over 10 serious illnesses connected to e-cigarette usage in Nevada alone.
Oh, okay.
That's growing. We're seeing in the news, we're starting to see a very, very serious illness every few days reported, deaths being reported. This is getting worse and worse and worse by the day.
Wow. Yeah, and something else I thought about too is, can the doctors easily diagnose this, or are they going to diagnose it as pneumonia or just a lung
No, it's
problem?
not necessarily easily diagnosed. A lot of tests have to be run because there's a lot. People could say it could be. We'll try to point to other environmental factors, but what we see happening is it's clear where it's coming from. It can be diagnosed, but it's not always that easy. And the earlier you get in, the easier it is and quicker you can get a diagnosis on this. So that's important.
Good. Now, for our veterans out there and their families, the people who are watching or listening to this video, if they've gotten ill, maybe by the use of e-cigarettes, what should they do?
Well, even if they don't think they're ill, if they're not feeling well, if they're feeling different than they normally do, if they're having trouble breathing, if they're coughing, or if they're having headaches, there's all kinds of different symptoms of what I kind of refer to in just layman's term as nicotine poisoning, because this is poison. That's what it is. But the first thing they should do, they should immediately seek medical help. Immediately, because some of these illnesses may become so severe they can result in death, and we're seeing it happen. And even if it's not death, they can result in some serious health problems. And this nicotine, particularly with kids, and some of these are carcinogens can stunt their brain growth. It can affect their ability to mature. It can cause serious psychological problems in addition to the health problems. So they've got to seek immediate medical attention. They've got to start and don't be afraid to push these doctors to make sure they understand what's going on and what they're concerned about. Also, they ought to call our office. We can give them any guidance. We can refer them to the appropriate medical providers if they're having difficulty getting someone to look at them for this issue. So they can call us and we can assist them in however we can. Who they should call in my office is Tom Rosenagel, and his number, the office number is 702-450-5400. Ask for him. He's the person in my intake department who we have assigned to this case to be able to help these people with any initial inquiries.
Excellent. Now, on the last question here, what do you think, what's your opinion anyway, on the long-term prediction of e-cigarette usage in our state?
Well, we currently have almost 100,000 e-cigarette users just in the state of Nevada. And unfortunately, many of these users will get very ill. Some of them sooner, some of them later. But the probability is they're going to get ill from this. And as a result, these users will suffer serious illnesses and incur substantial medical expenditures. They're likely going to significantly shorten their lifespan. And if they don't get help and stop using these e-cigarettes, not only will they shorten their lifespan, but their life will be filled with medical treatment and dealing with, all the different symptoms and diseases that can result in the use of what is essentially a tobacco product because it's nicotine and these carcinogens. So, meanwhile, the health cost that our state and our counties and our cities will incur from this e-cigarette usage, in my opinion, will easily exceed over $1 billion for our state. It's going to cost our state a fortune, and it's going to cost the country a fortune to deal, because this is a serious health crisis. Tobacco products today still are the #1 killer of Americans. Still. And now, for many, many years, we have had decades now, we've had a cessation. We've had less and less percentage of our population using tobacco products. Now suddenly it is going up for the first time in decades, and the reason it's going up and it's rising exponentially is because of these e-cigarette products. That is what's doing it.
Robert, thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for all your insight and all that you're doing to help everybody, the people of Nevada. Especially. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Robert Eglet, Eglet Adams Law Firm. You'll see the number right down here by my hand. Give them a call. If you know somebody that's vaping, using the e-cigarettes, whatever you want to call it, call. They need help right now because you never know what's going to happen. The bottom line is they could die. You don't know, we don't know until it happens. Don't make it be too late. All right, thanks for watching and have a great day.